emitting more greenhouse gas emissions.
Kenya and Netherlands are set to celebrate 60 years of bilateral relations. The two countries are said to be deeply committed to economic advancement as Kenya-Netherlands relations shine. Netherlands' new ambassador to Kenya, Henk-Jan Becker, is optimistic of ensuring that the trade between the two countries will increase. KTN's Daniel Kariuki had an interview with Becker and explains his plan for the next 4 years. Here is part of that interview.
Weeks after you presented your credentials to President William Ruto and welcome to Kenya. Of course, I know you have taken a tour here and there about the country. Maybe you can start by telling us how do you find the country?
Well, before arriving 2 months ago as the new ambassador, I have traveled to Kenya a few times in the past as well, on business trips, but also as a tourist. So I have been to Amboseli, I have been to Diani Beach, to the coast once before, and in different jobs that I had before in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I had traveled to Kenya a few times as well. So I knew a little bit of what to expect. In fact, I told the president when I presented my credentials that Nairobi, Kenya was absolutely #1 on my wish list.
Of course, talking about exports, Kenya, you've said, is one of the countries, the biggest exporter, especially flowers, to Netherlands. And you're trying to shift from this air freight to sea freight. And this has actually kicked off already. And they are already using the port of Mombasa for the exports. Maybe as the ambassador, what's your aim? How are you going to ensure that the exports increase, especially through the sea freight?
You know, climate change is an issue that affects us all, that we have to deal with, to adapt our behavior, our lifestyles, but also the way we do business. At the moment, almost all of the flowers that are produced in Kenya travel to the Netherlands by plane. That has a carbon footprint that is perhaps higher than we think is necessary. And so we are slowly but certainly trying to get the infrastructure ready so that flowers and also other horticultural products, fruits, vegetables, can be transported by sea freight.
I know this is not your first maybe area of deployment from Netherlands. We've had other diplomatic relations in other countries, and maybe what expertise are you going to be bringing on board to ensure that Kenya and Netherlands remain and have very strong relations as they have been. And Netherlands, their bilateral relations back 60 years ago. Yes. But of course, in Europe, there are other countries that are having very close relations with Kenya. Maybe what's the position and how are you going to ensure that Netherlands remains very relevant in the European market, or rather in the European Union, in terms of Kenya and Netherlands partnership and agreements?
You know, Mombasa is a little bit one of the gateways to East Africa. And in the same way, the Netherlands is the gateway to Europe. Whether it's by freight, by ship, through the port of Rotterdam, where you've been, whether it is by plane, through the airport of Schiphol, and even digitally, Amsterdam is one of the 7 or 8 internet hubs in the world where the digital communication comes together. In the Netherlands itself, we are working very hard every day to keep that position, and it's not only relevant to Kenya, but it is relevant to all the countries in the world. Job, indeed, as you said in one of your earlier questions, is indeed to expand on that and to make sure that when I leave in 4 years, that my successor will have an even higher step on the ladder of our bilateral relations to start with.
In sports, the